Hey guys, Dark Humility here in the Mad Lab in Season 12 Closed Beta, Season 12 Suffering, Project Diablo 2, and of course, we've got with us here today a Corpse Explosion Necromancer with a pretty sick build that will have high survivability and very good damage. And of course, you'll see with this one, if you've seen the Fire Golem video, it's just as strong, if maybe not even a little bit stronger in some scenarios. It's pretty crazy. It definitely clocks some nutty numbers. It's another insane Necromancer build, and since the last Corpse Explosion Necromancer video I made was probably a lot jankier, we should do that for sure. Maybe do a bit of an update, and it's been like 4 seasons. For such an awesome build, probably should be redone again. Just some disclaimers. We do not have corruptions on beta, so it won't be fully optimized, nor will any build, but it's about as strong as it possibly can get. And we'll show you guys, of course, all of the fun stuff in terms of stats, skills, gear, and demos, of course. We'll show off the Mercenary before the gear, so Mercenary gear, and that'll be good. Of course, the new season, Season 12 Suffering, will be starting November 28th. November 28th, 10 a.m. PST PT. Of course, that'll be Friday. So be there or be square. Let's go. Let's show you guys how this awesome build works. Another mini guide and demo for fun. We got this Necromancer. We got enough strength to wear gear. And the rest of the points into energy and res. Well, res would be nice if I had it, but it's hard to optimize without corruption, so I kind of just leave that as is. You kind of want res if possible, though. Of course, DR would be good if you lose your bone armor as well, so those could be useful stats for surviving. Your cast rate is supposed to be 125 max. I'm using a helmet with 20 FCR instead of maybe a Shaco because it also has life after each kill, which is really tough to get without corruptions. So we're just going to leave it a little scuffed, but you only need 125. You got some hit recovery there. And the main sources of sustain on this build are life and mana after each kill. It is possible to go a version of this with Phoenix, though. You could even go like Phoenix Epiphany, like on the Fire Golem build, and you have negative fire res on the Phoenix, but you would lose a pretty solid amount of damage. So it kind of depends on the situation, but as you'll see, it's pretty good. So either way, you could go Redemption, but HP and mana, MPK, LPK work very well with this build, as you will be blasting things very quickly. Alright, and then of course for skills, you want 0 Blood Warp cooldown on this. Definitely no reason not to have it on this, because you'll be having the LPK, and LPK actually works because you're casting the skill yourself. It is not a summon. Once again, if you've watched the Fire Golem build, it's a little different. You're going to max out Revive, Desecrate, Corpse Explosion, and Amplify Damage. And I just put the rest of the points into Amp just in case I wanted to use it myself. It's kind of optional though, as you'll see. You have plenty of damage on this without it. You have Decrep for negative enemy Phys Res on the Mercenary. You have lower resist that you cast just by casting things on Ming Song's Lesson, like Corpse Explosion itself. And of course, a lot of other sources of negative res for both the fire and physical component of Corpse Explosion. It does a lot of damage to corpse life, and a lot of it is fire and physical. So lower resist would help, amp would help, conviction would help. If you use an Act 4 Merc, you could have an Infinity Staff on top of the amplify damage he casts himself. You could cast lower resist and amp yourself as well if you're a lot weaker of a version of the build. If you have 10 points in a Curse Mastery, so you could do that as well. I think I've done that on previous videos just to show you how that works, like in older videos. But this version is pretty decked out, and he's going to show you just how fast this thing can clock. It's pretty cool. But at any rate, yeah, you got to get all the synergies in Corpse Explosion, and the revives, of course, will help you tank, so you're going to want to use them as well. And it's just going to be Blood Warp. 1 point, of course, in a Bone Armor, so that energy is giving you all that Bone Armor. So you're going to be able to tank a lot of physical damage. Like I said, though, if you go like Phoenix Epiphany, though, you could tank a lot of LE damage as well. Will lose a lot of damage though if you do that. This build definitely relies a bit more on the skill damage and whatnot. As you can see, the sheet damage very high. Negative enemy fire res is very good on this particular build. Negative phys res also very good. So Mercenary is going to be the Mercenary I'm going to use, or what I found to be very effective and safe, is actually a Mercenary you might have seen on a Volcano Druid. So it's the Stormlash Flickering Flame Innocence for proccing both the Stormlash and the Exile, the Decrep. Decrep it slows the monsters, it weakens them, but of course will also give you that negative 10 Fizz res for the Fizz component of Corpse Explosion. So it's kind of like Volcano. Volcano is also hybrid physical fire damage, so it makes some sense that you can apply the same concept here. And of course the static field procs constantly, not even when he does it, but also when he procs it from Stormlash. So big stuff, of course. You could also go cleansing and then use Stormlash, of course, and then just use only the proc as well if you want. But I like it being constant, so he's constantly doing the static no matter where you're at on the screen. So you could use like a cold or a fire merc as well. So that's kind of neat. You got for like cleansing or prayer, so you could have more survivability. So you got a cultist, so he has more FCR. That's always good for him. And CBF cannot be frozen. In a sense, the blade shield procking those skills on striking. Static field's going to lower the monster health a lot. You're going to have more damage from the decrep, and you're going to be able to be pretty safe as you're just teleporting straight into the monsters. Of course, gear got Ming Song's Lesson. This is a very decked out one, as you can see. A good fire one with fire facets in it. Corpsemorn. Corpsemorn, interestingly enough, you don't get 30 to level 30 to 40 on a Necro, but just like any 0-0 skill, you get 3 skills. There are no other armors that give you 3 skills, so that's pretty good. And if you have your faster cast rate figured out, you got 125. You could totally just use this for 3 skills and fire facets. It's pretty good. Like I said, LPK, you could use more MF, use Shaco. There's a lot of things you could use. Ming Songs is amazing though, because you get the lower resist proc constantly, because you're just casting constantly, so it's hard to get rid of that. But like I said, there's other choices. You know, you got Phoenix, you got survivability options. You could definitely use like cheaper things like White Wand and shit as well, so it's pretty good. And then of course, you know, plus skills on the amulet, as many as we can get on the beta anyway. So then we got Mage Fist for faster cast rate and fire skills. It's just a free fire skill. Imagine you could also go like Frosties or something. Could be pretty good. And then you get the negative 10 fire res as well, which does affect this build because once again we are casting it ourselves. Then just a bunch of plus skills. This is our MPK, that's our LPK, so that's the only sustain we can get on our beta build here. Pretty junky, but pretty scuffed, but it is what it is. Got Annie, Torch, Fire Damage LC, Life, Res, FHR. FHR is really nice. And P&B skills, obviously, level up Corpse Explosion, so which give you both the physical and fire damage. So we have big damages here. Of course, you got CTA Lilith on swap. Nothing too fancy. Alright, let's get into it. Let's see what he is made of. Is he made of garbage or something good? Now, in a cow level, if I'm going to do Blood Moon, I like cow revives better, so we're going to get the cow revives. Depending on where you use Desecrate, you can revive different cows, so that's kind of cool. So yeah. Very cool. Or sorry, not different cows, different revives, sorry. And the different revives, well, some of them are better than others. The Moon Lord's really nice, cows are pretty good. You want elemental ones, council members, vampires, those kinds of things are good. Gloams are decent. That kind of stuff. Right, anyway. So what we do. They just teleport, desecrate, boom. Oh, wow. Well, that was a nice showcase there. So, we just went right in the middle there with no bone armor and died. That was a nice boom, 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 wasn't it? Well, let's try again. That's actually, what's funny is I never die during testing, but I die when I make the video. That's great. Let's try again. Dying? What is this crap? Well, letting your bone armor go down is bad, so lose your bone armor, you can die, so make sure you recast it before you die. Don't do what I did. Make sure keeping that up when you get hit. Of course, there's a tooltip down there that shows how much you still have. So one thing to know here is static field. Obviously, you can get help by the lower resist too, so that's kind of nice. Okay. Looks like the I think this cal level, they have a lot of elemental damage and my res isn't great, so that might be one of the problems here. I think they have like added LE damage, so they're gonna go through my bone armor. Ordinarily, this isn't that big of an issue if you don't have that stat, or if you have res, so. Easy fixes though. You can see though, damage is crazy. Bam, bam, bam. Mercenary really helping out there. That decrep is just very nice. Yeah, there's elemental damage on this cal. Nasty, isn't it? Yeah, extra is lightning and fire. With no res, that's brutal. I think the only res I have is cold, actually. Yeah, that's well, easily fixable, not on beta, but you could see the damage at least. It's really good. We can then move Phlegethon as well. It's actually kind of funny to see though. These are my favorite ones, Moonlords. Check this out. I'll get at least a couple of them. There we go. Moonlords, sick. Alright, there you go. Now, these are all tier 3 maps. It's getting absolutely flattened. Obviously these items are really good, but keep in mind it can perform this as well. Maybe a slightly longer rotation, less gear, and lower tier maps as well. For the most part though, you're pretty safe though, as long as you have all the survivability, core survivability stats. Got that LPK as well, so it helps to counter blood warp. Will drain your life very quickly. Well, only if you build that build like I did. Okay, here we go. Look at that decrep. It's on. Decrep's static, man. But yeah, as you see, very good. Cast that desecrate for the bodies. Obviously, if you kill them, it might. Flux is doing a good job, man. He's doing a good job. Off to the races. We don't even have to cast amp or lower res herself, but you know, we can. Watch, I can cast it right now. See, there's amp. Against fire immunes, maybe I do want to amp them actually, so I can kill them. Like that one right there. And then, of course, you can lower the resistances of the monsters to your dual components of Corpse Explosion. Crush and Face, easy mode. But yeah, it doesn't really matter which one it is. You got all kinds of good maps for this. Super solid. Maybe if you have no res, avoid doing maps with elemental damage, physical damage conversion. Because then they'll touch you in bad ways. And they will kill you. And between the revives and then the mercenary, like decrep and whatnot, like I said, it's pretty safe. You can even go Ming Song, you know, you don't need to go any, like... One thing to keep in mind, survivability in a Necromancer, you never want to go max block. Necromancer has terrible block frames, so... Unless you're, I really don't recommend max block typically, unless you're like... Maybe like a Martyrdom Innocence, like Poison Strike build. It might be acceptable then. As long as you have the, slowing auras on the Mercenary too. Even then though, it's pretty rough. But yeah, you could do this on Volcano too, of course, but you know. I might make a video for Volcano. Anyway guys, see you guys November 28th, and GG. Hopefully maybe this inspires you to pick an awesome build. And of course, check out all of my guides from Season 10 and Season 11 as well. There's a wealth of very, very solid guides that are still very relevant to the game. And lots of mini guides and demos and whatnot. Lots of very fun builds to choose from. So make sure to crush it out there, and see you guys soon. Dark Humility, over and out. See you guys in the next one. Let's get it.